I broke my back.
What do you mean by that? You broke
back is broken.
What, a vertebrae or what portion?
Spinal.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
A big shout out to everybody in Riverside. And as a kid, I always wanted to meet Don King. But now I think Don King's a fucking asshole. He's a racist.
No. We're not going down that road.
None bigger than this. Maybe the biggest upset of this decade.
En ese estilo es un falso, porque él puede dar bien con la pelea.
Welcome everybody to the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. It is me, Sal, Mr. Boxing Guru. Guys, thank you for continuing to listen to this podcast. I know I go on my long absences, but I do have my reasons. Well, not really. I mean, I have a reason. The reason is boxing hasn't been as great. It looks like we're coming up on great boxing, and I decided to do a podcast right now because big shout out to Juan C. He said, you know what, Sal, go ahead and do a podcast. Me dieron ganas. I said, let's do it. Since there's news out there, and you know we've started these good fights started to trickle in. So why not do it? And first things first, like boxing, there's no boxing without no chisme, without no gossip. So we got to get going and make sure we bring that up. CANELO today, it was released. I think Fat Dan from ex-member of ESPN did release that CANELO had sued Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy, under construction DAZN, and saying something about breach of contract, he's not getting the money he deserves, and yada. So, typical, I'm not surprised, let's be honest. When there's some sort of beef, some sort of problem with the boss, and at this point, to a certain extent, you hold more weight than that promotion or company. These things start to happen. You get all these new voices in your ear. These things start to happen, and I think most of us were waiting for something like this. Now, what is the fucking problem here? Because we keep hearing that, and I don't know whether to blame DAZN or CANELO. You guys come up with your conclusion. CANELO, from my understanding, DAZN kind of gave CANELO, a certain amount of money to fight pretty much open canvas, whoever they really wanted, whoever CANELO wanted, and whatnot. Now the pandemic started happening, and I'm sure things got disrupted because folks started canceling their DAZN subscriptions. The money isn't being necessarily generated to that large amount, or CANELO hasn't brought in that large amount of fans since everybody's spicing, everybody legally downloads. But again, let's leave that aside for a bit. The money's just not there, and I think DAZN now is saying, you know what, we want good opponents. We gave you a couple of freebies, CANELO. When do we get something back? I mean, you got Danny Jacobs as again, formidable opponent. Good technical fight. You got the other British kid that he was just brought in to kind of, I don't know, welcome CANELO into the Madison Square. I'm talking about Rocky Fielding. And again, CANELO gets paid as large amount of money. But there's no Golovkin. That's the purpose of bringing a Golovkin in. There's no Golovkin fight. So, I mean, I get the name that CANELO brings to the table, but what else? And that's why I've always been a big fan of fights, not fighters. CANELO versus himself and these exhibition style fights, I'm not interested in. I get it. I'll go to the carne asada. I'll go hang out with friends and watch the fight. I'll invite friends over. But this is not the type of fight that I want to see. I don't want to see the Rocky Fieldings of the world. I don't want to see him versus a guy that everybody else starched up in there, which was a very almost disrespectful move. I believe Canelo wanted to fight some. I mean, I don't want to call him a bum of the month, but a fighter that had been previously knocked out a couple of times, and Canelo won it in. So what gives? What does Canelo really want? Did he take it as an opportunity to just get free money? Because I mean, that's what he's really doing. Is Golden Boy to blame? I mean, I don't know. You guys know. I mean, I'm no stranger to being a fan of Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya and whatnot. So, what have they done wrong? Because I know Golden Boy likes to, match make aggressively. I mean, they haven't for Canelo. Let's be honest. But I mean, they like to make big fights, especially with a complete fighter like Canelo is. That you could be a little more. At this point, at least in his career, you could be a little more willing to match him up with certain fighters. So, what happened? What's happening? I don't know. I did hear rumors that Canelo might already have something lined up with ESPN. If that's the case, there goes Dan Rafael's. There goes the decision to let go of Dan Rafael. But I don't know. I don't know. I want answers. I would love answers. It looks like it's going to be a fun couple of months. There's still no Canelo date. There's still nothing. Golovkin's still out there, not knowing what the fuck is going to happen. And as he's getting older, his body is deteriorating, and we're not getting to see the greatness that a guy like Golovkin could bring. It seems like the great champion that fought no one. Might have offed himself with Valero because, I mean, we haven't seen much of him. All right, but let's move on for Canelo, the non-fighting best fighter in the world. Let's go to this weekend's fight on ESPN. We saw Jamel Herring fight Oquendo, a fight that seemed like it's been going on for the last 3-4 months. From the beginning of the bubble, when Top Rank decided to bring in their fighters and set them up in a bubble and make them fight, which I thought was great. I mean, the idea was great. The fights were very lackluster from Top Rank, but again, that's a whole other podcast. But Jamel Herring versus Oquendo was scheduled. Oquendo, there was no secrets. He was brought in to see how, to almost as a measure, to see how would Jamel Herring handle a shorter, smaller guy that will pressure him. And based on Oquendo's history, the type of fighter that he is. He leads with his head, and unfortunately, he created he cut Jamel Herring. Headbutt him quite a bit in this fight, and the fight ended up being stopped, and it ended up being a disqualification fight. That's the type of fight Oquendo had to fight to be able to reach a guy like Jamel Herring, which, like we all know, he has the reach advantage that makes him a great fighter at 130 pounds. Now, the ending was a bit weird because it didn't satisfy a lot of fans. Now, I'm getting messages right and left, and the reason why I'm getting messages is because, of course, I work with the guys from Adidas, and we got Jamel Herring. So I'm getting, this guy quit, the Marine quit, what the fuck are you guys talking about? I'm looking at the fight myself. Personally, I didn't see a quit job, and I need to explain myself why. Because I don't want to be like, he's an Adidas guy, so you're gonna give him, you're gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. No, it's not that. When you see a guy win pretty much every single round in 8 rounds, and you're just slapping the guy around, and he's not doing anything but unfortunately fight dirty. There's nothing else to do, because even with Oquendo fighting dirty, he was not going to win. You got to sit back and do the math a little, and kudos to Jamel for doing that, because if Oquendo was brought in to not necessarily emulate, but give you an idea of how a fight with Frampton's going to be, if he already won let's say, I don't know. I mean, 7 of the last 8 rounds, or at least 6 already. And again, it's the same round after round after round, the same pattern where you just slapping this guy around. Personally, if I'm Jamel, I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's fuck it. I'm bleeding from my eye. Let's go. Let's move forward. There was nothing that Oquendo was going to be able to do. Now, am I okay with it? Yes. Are a lot of boxing fans not okay with it? No. I get you guys. I don't agree with a lot of boxing fans saying that Jamel quit, but I understand you guys. And it goes sort of like when I have an opinion about something. I have my fucking opinion as a boxing fan, and I guess you could say a podcaster. I have my own opinion about certain things, and you guys, if you guys feel like he quit, that's it. That's like I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just here to tell you I'm okay with the fight being stopped at that point. I have no issue with it. I understand. There's the Oquendo was just the opponent that was brought in to see how he did for a future fight with Frampton. Now, if I'm Frampton, according to folks, those folks from Frampton folks, they're licking their chops saying, "Oh, we could take this guy Jamel now." So, and even guys like Barchet, now they're like, "Oh, okay, you know what? I'll fight Jamel." So now, Jojo Diaz, if you posted right away about, not necessarily talking shit about Jamel, but he posted, he started right after the fight that he's the best guy at 130. So it kind of shook things up because we've seen something different for Jamel. We had never seen him in a tough position, and we saw him. So it boosted up a lot of the guys at 130 egos. So now I feel like I can do that to this kid. And good. That makes things interesting. It makes you dream. I've always said, I think from the beginning of this podcast, that 130-pound division is the best division there is in boxing. Like I said, now Santa Cruz is there. Javante is there. Modest is there. Jamel, Jojo. There's so many fighters and champions there that you can mix and match all of them. And you with 3, 4 losses, 5 losses, and again, the fights will still be great. They're all very top heavy, that 130-pound division is. So I'm good. Look, if Jamel decides to fight, it looks like he's going to fight Frampton. Good for him, and I hope he doesn't, because I know I get it. Look, he was concussed probably, and he couldn't see, and when your phone's blowing up, everybody calling you a quitter, it's easy to talk, retirement and whatnot. I hope he doesn't retire. He's one of those fighters that I don't see him skipping a beat. I enjoy watching, Jamel fight, so I hope he continues for a while. Again, I don't agree with people calling him a quitter. I understand why they're calling him a quitter. So hopefully that answers everybody's question that kept asking, what do you think? I didn't answer you guys because I said, you know what, I just might do a podcast, so why not? Ugas actually wins the WBA belt versus Ramos. Ugas is, I like Ugas, and I don't say that very often about Cuban fighters, because Cuban fighters tend to leave a bad taste in your mouth. They're not, to me personally, most of them are not entertaining, at least not from this generation or from past generation. We're talking about 80s and 90s, absolutely. But the amateur style got a little too complicated for most, and it became a point system with the Cubans. And we're talking about the Eddie's Landilaras, the list goes on. I don't care for a lot of Cuban fighters, but this kid Ugas, he reminds me of a throwback, a Cuban fighter. He comes to fight, and Cuba not having a welterweight champion since God knows how long. I can't remember the last welterweight champion that Cuba had. I mean, it's special. And he's a guy that I've seen him. I mean, a lot of his decisions, his losses have been very close, if not, questionable decisions when it comes to it. So happy for him. I like seeing him, and you guys know I don't praise a lot of PBC fighters a lot. I just don't pay attention to a lot of the PBC fights. But this guy, Ugas, special guy. I like him. He comes to fight. He knows how to box. He knows how to fight you. He knows how to fuck you up, and I appreciate guys like that. Last time I was high on a Cuban fighter like this was Yuriorkis Gamboa, and he was just an absolute treat to watch. Threw 100 punches from the weird angles, and he was fucking chinny. So what's not to like? Sort of like Amir Khan to a certain extent, but of course more polished. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, like I said, I haven't done a podcast in a while, so we even got Jose Ramirez. The Jose Ramirez fight versus Victor Postol. Which we all saw. Again, all these fights. That's the beauty about different styles, that they all give you something to think about. You might think one thing is going to end one way and then it ends the other, and that's the beauty of boxing. Victor Postol obviously gave him a hard time. It's very difficult to fight versus a guy like Postol. But it's nice to see Postol still up there, still able to fight at such a high level. I know a lot of folks had to fight versus Ramirez for Postol and vice versa. I did see Jose Ramirez win. Not comfortably, but I did see him win. And credit to Postol, because, look, Jose Ramirez is no pushover, but you obviously could see that there's certain limitations to him. Victor Postol fought Crawford 4 years ago, and Crawford dominated him. And again, this is 4 years ago, so Postol's been at the top of the game quite some time. 5 years ago, he completely destroyed La Máquina Lucas Matisse. Again, this fucking destroyed him bad. He hurt my feelings. I had just made a shirt that said NWA, not without. Put Kovalev, Canelo, Triple G, Chocolatito, and Lucas Matisse. And what happens? As soon as I released that shirt, you got hundreds of people wearing the shirt at the StubHub Center. Again, back then it was the StubHub Center. And boom, he beats the shit out of Lucas. Again, so it tells you he's been at that high level. And again, for him to still compete like with a young gun like Jose Ramirez and arguably win or have a maybe even a draw would have been right. But you got to give him credit. Postol is the shit, and it's been a while, and we've seen what he does with elite or blue chip champions, I guess you could say, because at the end of the day, Jose Ramirez is a unified champion, so you got to give credit for that. Let's see. So yeah, hey, I was more impressed with Postol looking the way he did versus Ramirez than anything else. As far as fights goes for this month, it's a good month. We got Kavalasquez fighting some other Zeski type of fight. Good fight, decent fight. Miguel Mariaga is the fight that I'm looking forward to. And again, this is September 12th on ESPN Plus, so it does look like we need to download the ESPN Plus app. Because with the zone, está cabrón. I think we might have to remove it or delete it or unsubscribe, como se llama esa madre. So ESPN Plus, Miguel Mariaga versus Joet Gonzalez, and Joet Gonzalez has been pretty quiet after his loss to his cuñado a few months back. So Mariaga's not a pushover. He's a fighter that's going to keep you honest. I don't see it being as easy for Joet. Joet does like to throw a lot of punches. So I think it should be a very interesting fight. A fight that kid like Joet Gonzalez can pull the upset, and he needs to, because again, this is a tough fight in my opinion, psychologically, because he's coming off of a humiliating loss. Look, we all knew Joet Gonzalez was gonna. For the most part, well, maybe not here in Southern California, but for the most part, I think most boxing fans knew that a guy like Joet Gonzalez was not going to beat a Shakur Stevenson. But the way he lost just looked lackluster, and to right after that fight, bring him in versus a guy like Miguel Mariaga. I don't know if that's just top rank, throwing the ball to Golden Boy, and then give him maybe they see something I don't, but I I don't like to see fighters go face tough fights after a tough loss, a mentally humiliating loss like he did versus Shakur Stevenson. So hopefully Joel Gonzalez gets the win. Let's wish him the best and let the best man win. On September 19th, again from Las Vegas, from the bubble on ESPN Plus, Jose Pedraza versus Javier Molina, another local Southern California kid. I know there's a lot of SoCal fans that listen to me, and if not, I think Javier Molina is one of the twins. Can't remember his other brother's name, but badass kids. Carlos Molina too. The brother, he actually fought Broner. He fought Mercito Gesta. Both are in their absolute prime. Great fight. So Javier Molina does come from a great boxing background, boxing family. So I'm really looking forward to that fight. I think it's going to be an absolute treat, and I can't wait. Let's see, on September 26th, again, from London on ESPN Plus, we got a title fight, and this is the fighter that should be fighting Jose Ramirez. For all the marbles, this is Josh Taylor. Again, guys, if you guys have not watched Josh Taylor, which again most of my listeners, I know there's maybe one or two or 10, 20 that are casual fans that just listen to me because you guys are my great friends. So if you guys want to watch a good fighter, watch Josh Taylor. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's an absolute monster, and I think him and Jose Ramirez are going to bring the absolute best out of each other when they do fight. But for now, Josh Taylor is fighting a guy named Kong Song. I think it was ranked like somewhere in the lower 50s or something like that. But again, fight just for Josh Taylor to move around. Hopefully, we do get to see the fight between Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez by the end of the year. They deserve to fight each other. They want to fight each other, and hopefully they make it happen. On September 26th, from Connecticut on Showtime and the BBC pay-per-view, we get the Charlo brothers. Big Bro Charlo in the main event. Jamal Charlo fighting Deverenchenko in a 12 rounds fight for Charlo's WBC middleweight title. Now, this fight is very interesting because, again, it is a measuring stick. And kudos to the Charlos for actually taking these type of fights. We all know that PBC fighters are notorious for not wanting to fight the best. Not that Deverenchenko is the best, but he could. I mean, look, man, I'm Golovkin's biggest fucking groupie here. But I have to admit, Deverenchenko did put an ass whooping on Golovkin. Maybe not beat him, but he put fucking hands on him. He was the aggressor. He was the fucking monster there. And for Charlo to take him on, kudos to Charlo. I would definitely watch that pay-per-view. I'm not going to say pay, but I said I would definitely watch that pay-per-view fight. And on that same card, little baby lion Jamel, Charlo's fighting Jason Rosario. The thing is with Jason Rosario, he beat one of his other teammates. God damn, I can't remember his kid's name, but he did beat Hugo Centeno. But look, Rosario, both of them are fighting good fighters, and very surprising. I really hope the pay-per-view does well for these kids. I don't like pay-per-views, but look, man, a pay-per-view is based on something that you like. A fight that's sellable, something that you would buy, that you would want to buy. Right now, we can't go to these fights, so most boxing fans I know would want to pay. I know we're in the middle of a pandemic. I know pay-per-view isn't the best thing to do right now. But if you're putting on good fights, people will watch, and why not? I would pay for this fight. Honestly, I'm all for it. Like I said, I'm only talking about the co-main event. And again, we'll talk about these fights as they come along, and whatnot. So that's the big fight for September. No September 16th, and that's where I was kind of in a funk today because this is. I looked at my regular work schedule, holiday schedule. It looked like I was scheduled for vacation. As of Wednesday, And I look, I'm like, what the fuck am I scheduled for vacation? Oh man, it's Canelo fight week. You know, it's September, Mexican Independence Day. This is when you go to Vegas and you hang out, regardless of who's fighting. You know, if it's Canelo or whoever it is. This is a fight week. It's just like, you know, the May 5th week, September 15th, 16th. This is the fight week. So it sucks that we have nothing. But that's that. Now I know why I was feeling low down. So that's it for September. On October really goes fucking bananas. October is going to be a great month for boxing. And like I said, we're talking about this fight because, again, you guys know my tardiness when it comes to the podcast. I don't know when I'm coming back. Hopefully I do come back next week, but that's exactly what I say every week after week after week as soon as I do a podcast. On October 3rd from Las Vegas, ESPN, from the bubble, Jose Cepeda versus Ivan Baranchyk. Ivan Baranchyk on a 10-round junior welterweight fight. Now, John Cepeda, good fighter, very smooth, knows how to move, but also runs out of gas around the 6-7 round. I've seen him have a bunch of nutritionists coaching and whatnot, and he just doesn't seem like the second gear doesn't kick in, and he just decides to box. Which is good. Boxing is good, but I mean, there's not that little extra, in there. So, good fight. I like the fight. I think Baranchyk is going to put enough pressure on Cepeda to make him fight. So this is a great start to the month of October. Let's see, October 21st, I believe, is in Las Vegas. Emmanuel El Vaquero Navarrete versus Ruben Villa in a 12 round for the vacant featherweight title. Look, this fight is fucking intriguing, man. I like Ruben Villa. He's a good fighter. I've always said that the guy that gives a guy like Navarrete trouble is going to be a guy that's not afraid to go in there, mix it up, and make a miss. He's got to fight a mover, but a mover that's going to go in there and fuck him up. Emmanuel Navarrete almost seemed to be like a bootleg Antonio Margarito. Antonio Margarito, he's not necessarily as skilled, because Margarito did have a little, tricks up his sleeves. He was always very wide, very, his punch was very, he was a hell of a puncher. Navarrete is just a smaller version. Ruben Villa is a mover. He could get in there, he could get out. He's like a little Mexican Lomachenko. I like him. I love him. And I think he's the guy to beat a guy like Navarrete. Navarrete cannot fight against movers. He cannot fight going backwards. And I think a guy like Villa could, maneuver his way in there to push a guy like Navarrete back and can beat him. Will he beat him? I don't know. It's a tall order, but he can beat him. Again, we will go and get into detail for this fight, but this fight is the fight. Is my second favorite fight of the month of October. Why? Because on October 17th, damn it, messing up the days. October 17th, from Las Vegas on ESPN, Deportes ESPN, regular ESPN, we got Vasily Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez in a 12th round. And I think, what is this for all the marbles, right? WBO, WBA, IBF, and I think, this should be technically unification for undisputed, right? Because Loma had the WBC, but he just became franchise belt, whatever the fuck tax bracket that belongs to. But this is what's going on. This is the fight for all the marbles. I know that the WBC belt became David Haney's, but like everybody said, that just came as an attachment. So this is the fight for all the marbles, and you rarely see it versus a guy that's really good like Lomachenko. He's a hell of a fighter. He's a little small for my liking at 130, but nonetheless, he's a hell of a fighter. He's in my opinion, he should be favorite to beat a guy like Teofimo, but you cannot take anything away from Teofimo. Teofimo wants this fight. He believes he can knock him out. I don't think he can, but the fact that he thinks he can, it's enough for me to respect a guy like Teofimo. He wants the fights. He wants the tough fights, and he's going for the toughest son of a bitch there is out there, and that's Loma. I'm not a big fan of Loma. I respect what Loma does, and I respect a guy like Teofimo just a little more just for wanting to take this type of fight at such a young age. What is he, like 15, 16, 17 fights in? That's special. That's fucking special. And he already has a belt. And he's going after all the marbles. Look, if a guy like Teofimo wins, I mean, the sky's the limit. If a guy like Teofimo loses, it's okay because he only has a handful of fucking fights. And he's young, and he could aim the weight, and he could go up to 140 and campaign at 140, because that's a whole other podcast. But that's a whole other division that's completely open. So, because I'm sure Jose Ramirez is going to leave, and Taylor too, because those motherfuckers are huge. The co-main event for that fight is going to be Arnold Barboza versus Alex Salcedo. If you guys don't know, either guy, Alex Salcedo is a fucking truck. Hell of a fighter. Arnold Barboza is beautiful, Southern California, Tijuana style fighting. He's just very great technician, very sharp, very strong. The kid's the future for 140 pounds as well. So I love this fight. So hopefully we get great fights. Hopefully nothing falls through, because every time we have something good, something bad happens. But guys, I'm going to leave you guys alone. Give you guys a good 30-minute rant. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys don't, let me know. Leave some feedback on what is it, iTunes. Say what you want. Make sure that you guys subscribe on YouTube. Please do. Even if you don't listen to it, just go subscribe on YouTube. Leave me your 5 stars, on iTunes. I'm also on Spotify as well, on Spreaker.com, anywhere where podcasts are listened to. Guys, thank you so much. It's been an honor doing another podcast for you guys. Thank you guys for reminding me week after week after week to do it because of the pandemic. Honestly, I just haven't felt that motivated to do it, but it looks like things are changing. A lot of good fights are coming on. And que chingue su madre Canelo. Ahí nos vemos. See you guys. Bye-bye.
I broke my back.
What do you mean by that? You broke
My back is broken.
what? A vertebrae or what portion?
Spinal.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
A big shout out to everybody in Riverside. And as a kid, I always wanted to meet Don King. But now I think Don King's a fucking asshole. He's a racist.
No. We're not going down that road.
None bigger than this. Maybe the biggest upset of this decade.
Dile que ese estilo es un fuck you, dile, porque él puede quedar bien con la pelea.